many people just don't have that boundary script, and you give the boundary scripts a lot. On your Instagram. If y'all not following Dr. Ayanna, she giving you whole boundary script. She's telling you to pick a color, baby. She giving you all the things. But real tools, because oftentimes we don't have the script.
Yes.
We don't have the language to be able to either, one, regulate ourselves, and then two, be able to navigate in relationship with other people.
Yes, and so I obviously I love the boundary scripts that I offer, and I've seen, across what I'm seeing, clinically in my practice, what I'm seeing socially, and what I talk to particularly a lot of Black women about when it relates to boundaries is that there are a lot of us who don't have the language, right? We don't have the practice in this. We oftentimes don't know what to say. How do I set the boundary? How do I do this? What I've seen actually mostly is that most of us have the language. We don't have the courage. So the question I get the most when it comes to boundary setting is, how do I say this, and this without making them upset? That tells me you have the language. And what I'll say is that, well, you just said it to me. You know exactly what you want. You know exactly what the problem is. You know when it started. You know the time that it started. You know how much it pisses you off. You know how much money you lost. You know all the things. You don't have the courage to be disliked. You don't have the courage to deal with somebody being upset with you. You don't have the courage to move through the conflict with them. Right? So I would say that the majority of people actually do have so the boundary scripts help. They do have the language. They don't have the courage to go in and take this risk and be vulnerable and say, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
Right? So I think there's two different things that the boundary scripts can help with, but I think more people struggle with the courage and not the language.
That is so good. Because it takes courage.
It takes courage.
Yeah.
Yeah. The boundary practice takes courage. Like I said, people will line it out very clearly. Oftentimes we know when something has crossed the line. Our body tells us in some way. We feel uncomfortable. We feel scared about something. We feel angry about something. We feel annoyed. We're complaining about something. We know what the line is. We get into our heads that person can't handle me towing the line or setting the boundary. And that's what stops us, right? Because we're trying to control how the other person responds. I'm only going to set a boundary if I have a guarantee that they're going to approve it, they're going to like it, they're going to be okay with it. Most people aren't going to be okay with you making a change, particularly if it affects them and they got to move around and do something different. It's not my responsibility to make sure that you approve of my needs. And usually that's what we're waiting for and looking for. So if you're not going to approve it, I'm not even going to set it because they're going to get mad. They're going to do this and this and this, and I don't even want to deal with it. Okay. But you're dealing with this.
That's it. We are just... Listen.
That's where the work is. The work is in being able to tolerate someone else having less than pleasant feelings about you, right? And if you are a people pleaser, even if you're not a certified people pleaser, it's very difficult to feel, right? Like we've disappointed someone. We don't want to make people upset with us, but there will come a time, and there will come many times, particularly in adulthood, where the intersection of me meeting my needs and it disappointing someone is an intersection I'm going to be at regularly.
Oftentimes we see it, especially with when you see the studies out here, the research. Lord, when you say a study on the internet, okay, what study?
What study?
The research. What research?
What study? What's the link? Link?
Everybody go to Harvard now. So anyway,
y'all be studying on TikTok. That's the issue.
Listen, the study happens on TikTok, but women over 40, right?
I just got there. So.
I know I'm there. I'm in the early stages, of a woman over 40. It's early, but they say that the statistics are that this is when the rise of divorce happens with women. That 45, so they're like leaving marriages. They're having greater autonomy over their bodies. They know what they want. They're like
their finances.
They know who they are. They've built this life, and now they're finally comfortable enough to live and walk freely in it. But how do we get there sooner? Like, what do you tell the 20-something, 30-something-year-old woman who may be out there, and it might be the 40 because you might not be there yet, and that's okay. That's okay. But what do you tell that woman? How do you start to advocate for yourself? How do you start to put those boundaries in place? What's the first step they can do?
as we've been talking about, the first step is the self-awareness. A lot of people jump to the no, and I don't like this, and I'm not going to do this no more. That's a fine part of this, and usually we kind of swing to the other end of the pendulum and then need to pull back a little bit, because that's not a boundary, baby. That's a wall. You done cut a whole bunch of people off, and now you mad and lonely and like wondering why you ain't got nobody to talk to. Well, you done cussed everybody out. Like, that's not the way to do this.
That's
right?
not a boundary.
Yeah,
that's a
That's
wall.
a wall. Oftentimes we go a little bit too far. We overcorrect. That's how we learn things, right? Some people overcorrect, and now you by yourself, right? So it starts with that self-awareness, and I'll oftentimes kind of do this in practice with my clients or my patients. Do you even know what you like and what you don't like? Right? A lot of us are so used to ignoring ourselves in order to be in relationship with people, whether that be parents or siblings or romantic partnerships or friends or work colleagues. We are so used to ignoring ourselves, right, that I will talk to people about, like, well, what do you like about this person? And they'll say, like, I don't know, they're cool. And I'm like, do you have criteria? Are there, like, is there any criteria for this person being able to take up space in your life? And they'll say, well, they're nice to me. And I'm like, is that it? Is that the only criteria? Is that they're nice to you, or that they call you? Is that, again, that's part of it. There's a part of the attentiveness and the responsiveness, but is that it? Like, are you more focused on them liking you so that you haven't even thought about whether you like them?
Wow.
I have so many people who are focused on being liked that I'll be like, do you like him? Do you know anything about him enough to like him? Well, I want him to like me. I want the attention of that, because that gives me some sense of security. It's a false sense of security. But when I ask people, do you like them, and what are the qualities and what are the criteria that they meet? The criteria is real vague, or it's like one or two criteria.
Yeah.
They call me back, they're nice to me, or what I see actually about a lot of Black women, we will stay in relationship with people because they don't get in the way of stuff. They don't bother me. So, like, I could talk to them about what's going on. They don't bother me. And I'm just like, is that the criteria?
What does that mean? They don't bother me.
They don't get in the way of stuff. So, like, I can talk to them. Like, it doesn't, I can go on a date with them. I can, hang out with them this weekend. It's no, like, big thing. I don't get much from it, though. I'm just like, well, what does that mean, to make room for something that you don't get? And it doesn't mean we have to get something from everything, but what does it mean to make quite a significant amount of room for people that you don't maybe get a lot? You don't get a lot out of this relationship, but they're getting a lot from you in this relationship. What does it mean to, like, allow things to take up space that are just there as, like, fillers, right? And like I said, when I go back to this question about the criteria, oftentimes the criteria isn't descriptive. It is, they're fine, it's cool enough, it's something to do, it gets my mind off of this or this or this, but does it fulfill you?
Doesn't fulfill you.
Does it enhance any part of your life, or is it just something to do? And so it shows up with friendship, and it shows up a lot with romantic relationships, but particularly in the category of friendship. Do you feel hell? Is this a person you can call, right, when things go south? Is this a person you can share your wins with? Right, versus like, no, I would never share that with them.
That's so good, because I think too, and I've experienced this in relationship with men, the sharing the wins. That's the moment when I find out, oh, this ain't my person.
Yes.
Cause you getting real in your feelings about me winning. Yeah.
Can you even hold space for my wins, or do you say, oh, congratulations, and go on to something else, right? Can you celebrate the wins, and what does celebration even look like for you, kind of when you're in relation to someone else? We tend to, particularly when it comes to women, this usually is very, very gendered, right? We see that we have parties for very specific things. It's got to do with baby, and it's got to do with marriage, right? Those are the main criteria. I think we're getting a little bit better where we're celebrating, right, other things, but it usually has to do with work or something more familial, where society has said these are the things as a woman that you're supposed to do, so we're going to celebrate these things, right? What about women who aren't having those experiences?
Yeah.
Right? Are we celebrating when somebody gets a promotion? Right? Are we celebrating when somebody leaves a really bad relationship?
Yeah. And
they fought like hell to get out of that relationship, right? Are we celebrating when people set a different boundary and, like, do something hard for them, right?
Yeah.
Getting a better grade on a test, right? Again, leaving a job, right, that was really harmful to you, whatever it might be, right? A parenting win. Do we tend to celebrate those? No, we don't throw parties for those things, right? We're just relieve you out of that relationship because I'm sick of you talking about it.
Girl.
We're not going to throw you a party.
Doc, that's so good, because one of my single friends, she and I, we've been friends since college, line sisters. and neither one of us is married and we don't have children. So of course, like, hey girl, hey, what's up, girl? But we've talked about this and we're like, okay, so what if we not getting no wedding shower or no baby shower? Like, so it's like, okay, well, your birthday, you know, people celebrate you for your birthday.
Yeah.
But they're not celebrating you when you're like, oh, I just hit this milestone with my show, or I just did this, you know, they're not giving you that.
Nope.
Because that doesn't feel like that's big enough.
Yes. It doesn't feel like it's big enough, and it's not traditionally what society has said. We give kudos to women, right, for these things, right? We don't celebrate people when, hey, they just got out of a whole bunch of debt, right? Let's have a dinner kind of around that. We just kind of say these things and be like, yeah, great job, right? But the big moments, again, are typically moments for women around family stuff, because that's what society has traditionally said. Like, those are things that you're supposed to do, and those are great accomplishments or achievements in some way. But what about all the other aspects of our lives that are also important, right? And again, whether or not you choose to not have those experiences, whether or not you are unable to have those experiences, it sends a message to women that you are only valued when you do these specific things, right? You are valued for procreation, right? And you are valued, and typically valued for staying closer in proximity to men.
Yeah.
Right? So again, there's weddings and all that kind of stuff, right? But we all know that there's a whole bunch of anti-gay stuff and legislation and kind of anti-trans, all that kind of stuff, right? But the celebration of the things that women tend to do in proximity with men, that has been the trend. And if you don't do that, you're left wondering, am I worthy?
Hey Vault family, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this clip, make sure to check out our full interview on our channel at Vault Empowers Talks. We don't just scratch the surface, we dive deep into the lives of some of the world's most influential leaders and change makers. Don't forget to like, to comment, and be sure to subscribe for more inspiring conversations. See you next time.